Hi guys, Old Bull here. Wow, looking at the market this morning, I am just like, so disappointing. It's been a disappointing week. We've had several things happen in the company that are just annoying. And I use the analogy of the ship all the time, and it's such a good analogy. I have to tell myself, we are so close to reaching our destination, and yet we still have to navigate this last little bit of the trip. And it's always like the trip doesn't end. You don't stop sailing the ship until you actually are tied up on the dock. That's the only time you actually get to relax and calm down. And looking at this market, I'm just looking at it right now, looks like a strong double bottom, which is a really good sign. But holy smoke, I would have liked a higher high rather than a double bottom. But a double bottom in a couple of days' time will be a much stronger signal than a higher high, if that's the actual case. So fingers crossed this is a double bottom and that's the end of it, and we get now to have this 2-3 month up, which I'm expecting. So in case you don't know my thoughts on the market right now, I'm expecting all of this month, April, and all of May to be very, very strong, possibly part of June to be very, very strong, and possibly see Bitcoin head up towards 150 plus in that time, and maybe even towards 200. And then a massive correction back 30 to 40%. The market will scream and say it's all over, that's the end of the bull run, we've had our all-time high, etc., etc. And then that'll go on for a month or two, and we'll have some sideways consolidation at that 30% off. And then we should run out October, November, December into January next year. Massive big run up, another 100% up on top of the 300. So so I'm expecting a $300,000 or $400,000 Bitcoin from what I can see in the market. But right now, holy smoke, it's like getting kicked in the balls every time I fucking wake up. And it's like it's Sunday night in America right now, and someone yesterday decided to sell a lot of Bitcoin on a Sunday. So who is doing that? Like, it can't be retail. Anyone who's in retail, like those of us that are involved at this late stage of the game, so it must be large movers and shakers that are doing this just to drive the price down one more time. And very, very frustrating. And it's always the hardest thing with believing in something is you got to believe in it when everything says don't believe in it. And that's always the hardest thing. And you got to ask yourself, am I prepared to stick with this belief? All right. And I read I read a really interesting quote. No, it was more than a quote. It was like a video I was watching, and it was talking about intelligent people. And one of the things intelligent people have is the ability to change their beliefs. They can look at something and then say, okay, this is what I believe. Is this new information coming through breaking my belief? And that's what I love about the Pizzino brothers, Jason and Michael, is that they do not add their belief as they don't look at the markets every day as, is it doing what I want it to do? They just ask the question, is it breaking the rules that I believe? And if it breaks the rules that they believe, then they follow what it's doing. So I'm looking forward to seeing their video today. It'll come out shortly. And I would presume I'm going to see they're going to be talking about a double bottom. And we'll see what's going to happen next. They'll be saying, let's see what happens over the next couple of days. Is it a double bottom? Are we going to go lower? I know that we can go down to 73 without breaking any major resistance, and we can really go down into the mid 60s without breaking any major resistance. But that would be scary to head under 73. So hopefully this, what is it? It is 76,700. 76,700. Hopefully that's the double bottom, and we'll take it from there. Other disappointing things that happened this week. Well, we had a game dev basically download our whole game, Dogs of War, and send it to a friend of his that used to work for us overseas, which is hilarious because that means nothing. Don't get scared and think that that means they're going to steal our game. The game's nowhere near. They can't make the game out of that part of the game that they've got, but it's still nonetheless theft, and our lawyers are involved, and we're pursuing legal activity there. That person's lost their job, and it's a very disappointing feature of my week. And this person was who I would consider a friend. Like, we've been working in Dogs of War and in Playable for the last couple of years, and it is like, people are just funny. You look after them, you pay their wage, and then they for whatever reason they think they can get a better deal elsewhere, or whatever the thoughts are there. But it reminded me, I was working for I sold yachts, past life, a long time ago. I built yachts in, I sold yachts first, and then I ended up building yachts in Shanghai, in China, and we sold a couple of those back into Australia. And these were motor yachts. I had a 45-footer, a 52-footer, and a 65-footer that we sold, and we built that. They were like a 5-star hotel, beautiful little power yachts, and they were trawler style. So I don't know if you know that sort of style, but sort of yacht you just a single person can take his family out on. And in Australia, we've got some very nice yachting places where people can take a yacht out, anchor it, and you can fish off the back, and you got your galley on board, and you got 3 bedrooms, and it's a really nice place to spend a week. And you have a tender that's like a little ski boat, and yeah, it's good fun, really nice. Anyway, before I made yachts, I worked for a yacht broker, and I sold big yachts, big luxury yachts. And one day, one of the employees left, and he stole. I used to work for a guy called Grant Torrens. He's retired now, but Grant and his wife ran this business called Torrens Marine in the Gold Coast, and they were really nice. And Grant broke the world speed record water skiing, and that's how he sort of became a little bit famous back in the day in the Australian nautical circles. But basically, this guy stole the database, and I went to Grant and I said, "Oh, how do you feel, man? That's a fucking kick in the balls." And Grant just said, "Doesn't worry me at all." And I said, "But that you've spent years building that database. This had like the rich people in the Gold Coast and Brisbane, and actually across Australia, because a lot of people, even if you're in Melbourne, you'd go to the Gold Coast to buy a yacht, and you'd have it sailed down for you. And I'm talking about the big luxury yachts." And Grant said, "Oh no, it doesn't matter that he's stolen the database, because it's not the database that actually makes a difference to whether you make money in this industry. It's whether you've got the balls to get on the phone every day and ring that database." He said, "And that guy doesn't. He'll do nothing with that database." And it was a really good insight for me to realise that I've got a saying that I've got a couple of quotes that I've written myself, but one of my quotes is, "Talent is the most common resource in the world. It's application of talent that is rare." And those two things line up. That guy's stolen the database, but the reality is he doesn't have the talent to actually, he doesn't have the application to apply to that talent. So he's now got the talent, he stole the database, but he's not able to apply it. So he'll do nothing with it. And sure enough, that guy did nothing. He had the whole database, but he did nothing with it. So, and it was people like Grant who knew how to use that database and work that database and deal with those people and build the relationships. That's where the value of the database was. It's the same with stealing the game. He's got the code for the game. He can't use it. If he ever tried to publish it, we'd sue him. And if he builds another game off it, he has to change all the code anyway, so we can't identify it. So it's just a wasted piece of time. But it does just show the the futility sometimes that we deal with in business, where you're just putting out fires on a constant basis, and it causes stress in the team, and people feel abused, and people are shocked that someone would do that, and yeah, strange times. So, good news. I'm going to go right through the Dogs of War GDD with you. I've done that already, and I'll slot that into this video, and we'll take you through that. That's going to be good fun. I'll probably do that right here. So stay tuned. Okay, guys. Well, I am going to take you through my GDD. So this is a game development document that we've put together. So it's a work in progress. It's constantly changing. We've had one for the last 2 years, but obviously it changes on a constant basis. This is the latest version. So I've been working on it over the last few weeks, because as the alpha's coming out, we're now gearing up to, what we're working on right now is just finalizing the alpha build, which is purely to show you how the game works, like what it will feel like, and how big the world is, and yeah, so you'll get a feel for that for alpha. But the core mechanics of the game, like the multifaceted part of it, we've been working on the world up till now to get that right, and the world's only just begun. Like you're only going to see the first part of it, but the mechanics side is really integral to how this is going to work out. So let me walk you through this, and yeah, we'll take it through. So let's start with the high level vision. It's a hardcore PvE, PvP survival game set in the islands of Neutralis, which are some made up islands in between New Zealand and Australia. So we've covered the basic story before, so you can look that up. But it emphasizes deep crafting, realistic survival needs, a robust player-driven economy, leveraging persistent NFT ownership, recipes, licenses, and cosmetics. So there's NFTs that control different things. I'll explain as we go. Strategic social guild gameplay. So we're going to really encourage joining guilds, becoming part of a faction, and you actually have jobs to do in that guild. You might be a medic, you might be a harvester, you might be a farmer, you might be a gunsmith, etc. So there's different roles in that guild where you will bring value to your guild and be part of a needed resource to make things happen for that guild. If you're away for a week, someone else will probably need to do those jobs for the guild not to suffer. And there's basically an intense conflict happening over resources throughout the 30-day cycle. So the game runs on a 30-day cycle. So once the cycle starts, so if you join on day 15 and you're a single player with no guild, you'll just be in amongst these guilds battling out for a 30-day cycle. And you can do that. That's actually quite fun all on its own. But when you get into a PvP environment, it's often like it is player versus player. Even with groups, you're still one player. But there's a certain level above when you're part of a guild. So the core gameplay loops, all right, there's a survival cycle, there's an exploration and scavenger cycle, there's a crafting and progression cycle, there's a base building and defense cycle, there's an economic cycle. So we're building into this, sort of taking a part out of World of Warcraft. So there's a player-to-player trading via the marketplace. So there'll be a marketplace in playable games outside of the game where you can have things to buy and sell. There will also be an auction house inside the game where you can get to a trading post and you'll be able to go into a room and there'll be an actual auction, almost like the old-fashioned stock exchange, where you'll be able to talk to a guy behind the counter and you'll be able to say, hey, I need some high quality leather to make some armor out of, and he'll go, let me check it, and he'll look it up and he'll tell you, okay, the price for that today is so and so there'll be an auction house operating. There's going to be a loop involving resource grinding, craftable variable goods, and selling for gold. So we'll have a potential for converting the gold in game back to bull, and you can obviously buy gold in the game with bull outside the game. So that's going to be really exciting. And the guilds pool resources to buy high value NFTs. So some NFTs are going to cost like $1,000 in real world money. So if you want to have a gunsmithing NFT, that will most probably be a guild based thing. You'd be able to afford it obviously on your own, and you'll be able to make money out of that, because making high level scopes and all those things for guns will actually have a lot of value, because you can't find them in world. They've got to be bought off the traders. And there'll be things like a garage. So we want to store, when you get a car, for example, cars are very, I use the word expensive to store in the game. And if there's several hundred cars, you don't want them all in the game all the time. All right. So you might have several hundred players that come and go through the game. And at any one time, there's only like 100 players online or 200 players online. So you don't need those 700 cars in the actual game. So you want to store them off the game in data, and they only come into the game if the player logs in and then goes to the garage and pulls his car into the game. So this means we can actually license, if you want to call it that cycle where the guild owns a garage, and now you can store your car safely. It's always there when you want it. It never gets stolen. There's no way for someone to raid your base and steal your car. And yeah, anyway, it's a really cool feature. It means that it gives the guild a lot of value. So, and yeah, the guild will have things like, does your guild have a forge? So someone has the guild bought a forge, so now you can have a weaponsmith come and they can repair weapons and make ammo and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a thing to work for in a guild, and the guild will actually work and actually make it happen. The idea of the guild is obviously to build a social cycle to the game. There's nothing better than ending up with a group of friends that you all work together to achieve the macro goals in the game. And when you are good, this 30-day cycle that the game runs on, so the first couple of days is just resource gathering. The next few days in the 30-day cycle is building a base. And then that continues. The base builders, there'll be a couple of base builders in your guild. They will continue building the base all the way through the game. And when you get raided, they'll repair it. And when you raid, they'll go with you to help raid. They'll have special tools to help break down doors and get into other bases. So base builders are an integral part of the game, and they obviously build the base, which is where your drug farm will be. There's a combat drug that you grow, and if you have that combat drug in abundance, it means you can use it yourself to be at your highest level of combat, and you can also sell it to the drug lord out in the oil rig, and the drug lord gives you gold, which of course lets you buy other things. So that's really cool. So the key differences of this game to other games, we've got unique NFT integration, which provides persistent knowledge. So we're locking knowledge into the NFT. So in normal games like DayZ, when you die, you lose everything you have. It's called a permadeath, and that's one of the great things about the game, is that dying has a massive value attached to it, and it really hurts when you die. But that's also, when you get further into the game, further into the 30-day cycle, you don't really want to die and wipe all your memory and you lose everything. So we're linking NFTs to that. So if you have a compass NFT, for example, so you found a compass, you've then minted the NFT, and it's in your wallet outside in the real world. When you log into the game, the compass is already active. If the NFT is live in your wallet, then that compass already works. It's as if you actually found it in the game. So there'll be a set of things you need to, when you die in the game, you just spawn back in with all that stuff active. And that's going to be an adjustment thing. We're going to play with that a bit. But basically it takes the sting out of permadeath, and it still keeps, when you kill someone, they vanish from where they are and they go back to the coast. And we've got a coast system that operates as well. I'll explain that a bit later. But anyway, it's something we're working on, and it's going to be a really exciting part of the game that's going to change how people actually interact. So I'm not going to go through all these things. This is obviously a pretty detailed document, and it's designed for our developers to work with. But I'm just going to bring you through the things that I want to just highlight that are going to make the game really special. Player movement, we've got 2 movements with the doggos. The first one is biped. So since they were human before they transitioned to a doggo, they have a biped form, so they can actually use vehicles. Their hands are slightly bigger than human hands, but they still can fire guns and do all that sort of stuff. And they have a travel form, which means you can run much faster than a sprint of a human. And this is for traveling long distances, and it's also used for hunting in doggo form. The trouble is, if you're in doggo form, like travel form, you can't have human gear on. You have to actually be a naked doggo. And so that's got some real advantages and disadvantages. So obviously if you've got a great set of gear on, you've got like all your guns and stuff, you've got to put that gear on the ground and leave it while you go into doggo form. So if you want to hunt a deer in doggo form, you're going to have to leave your gear somewhere, which means someone else might find it, or it means you might forget where you put it, or because it's a big world. Anyway, that's just an interesting thing. But sometimes if you've got 4 guys hunting you, it might be best to drop your gear, drop into doggo form and run. And that will get you away, and they'll find your gear and you lose your gear, but surviving sometimes is better. Let me come down through all this stuff. Crafting system. We've got a recipe knowledge system. So you've got to find, there's a book that's out in the world. The first doggo that was released out to start exploring years ago, he created a survival manual, and that survival manual has pages that are out in the world. And as you're traveling around the world, you find a page or a part of a page. It might be part of page 8. And when you get all of page 8, you'll be able to make that into an NFT. And so it's simple things right through to very complex things. So like something like making ammunition would be like a several page document. And as you collect those pages, and as I said, it might be a guild that puts those together, and now the guild can make ammunition. It ends up with a permanent NFT, which is memorization. You can do it all the time. So duplicate pages, if you find a duplicate page, so let's say the compass, for example, you find a compass page, you've already got one, you can now take that to outside of the game and put that on the Playable Games marketplace. And so what will happen is people will put a video up online and say, hey, if you're playing Dogs of War on Playable, these are the things you can just buy straight away that make your life much easier. So it means that we can have this 2-tier crafting system where we've got people we call grinders who have lots of time. They might be unemployed, or they might be in the third world, and they can just grind out the game, do lots of searching, lots of exploring, go to the rare, hard to get to places and find the recipes, build up the recipes, make them into NFTs, and then put them up on the marketplace, and people will pay them for it. Because if I come home from my job at the end of the day, I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours grinding, finding things. I just want to, if I need a compass, I want to buy the compass and get the NFT. So I can get there really quickly. There's a whole base building system. I'm not going to go into that. Our base building system has 3 different levels to it, and it's all time components. So if you build in wood, that's much quicker to break into than stone is, and then metal is the final one. And to build a metal base, you can start with a wood base and then upgrade it to a stone base and upgrade it to a metal base. It takes time, and it takes money, and it takes resources. So, but if you have a steel base, for example, that's the hardest base to break through doors in. It's resistant to explosions. It's all sorts of stuff. So and again, a single player wouldn't probably build a steel base. Be very unlikely they'd have the resources. Whereas a guild would be able to build a steel base, which means you can protect all your gear, make it harder for people to raid you, etc. So we have a progression system. So there's going to be skills you learn in game that you can actually spend time honing. And so like using an axe, for example, the more trees you cut down while you're alive, and this is based to your actual death, and as you get to certain levels, you can NFT that level if you want. So you'll be able to lock those levels in. So the longer you play the game, if you've held a tree cutting level for a certain amount of time, you'll get a warning in game that says you can lock this into an NFT, so you don't have to go through this all again to learn this this skill level. But the guy who's got a level 10 tree cutting ability, he will be able to cut down trees significantly faster than someone that's just using a normal axe without that tree leveling ability. He's just got a skill that he's learned over years of cutting down trees. And there'll be a bunch of things to do with that. Hunting, there'll be like hunting stuff, there'll be making traps, all that sort of stuff. And then there's licenses you can buy as well. So profession systems. And licenses unlock parts of the game that you can't get without the license. So a medic, for example, unlocks special bandages and potions that you can make. So if there's a flu that's in the game that makes people sick, and if you've got a medic in your guild or you know a medic, or a medic will be able to sell to the NPCs in game, so it's available on the auction house. So you'll be able to buy a potion you can take that actually helps relieve that flu. And if that flu gets really bad, your vision starts to blur. So it fucks your game up, basically. You need that. You can't be sick for a long period of time. There's a whole bunch of benefits that are all built into that, and it's going to be a really exciting part of the game. Again, based around NFTs. We're building out the utility of this game, so it's a long-term economy that everything in the game has to be made. So on day one of the 30-day cycle, you won't be able to get ammunition. You might find a little bit out and about, but not enough for everyone on the map to have. So you'll have to craft bows, you'll have to craft arrows, you'll have to, do all that sort of stuff. Right, economic system. Core model is a player-to-player, play-to-earn. All right, so we have grinders and spenders. There's going to be a group of people that want to grind. They have time. They want to spend the time doing the game, playing the game, getting right down to the nitty-gritty of it. And then we've got spenders, people that don't have time. They work for a living. They are working all day. They come home and they just want to get into the core gameplay. They don't want to spend too much time. And the younger people too, like when I played with Jet a lot of the time, Jet would say, "Dad, can you build the base? I want to go PvP." And he'd run off in PvP. I'd be there building the base. And so he gets all the benefits of having an old man playing with him. And he gets to just stay in the fun part of the game all the time. So spenders will tend to say to their parents, "Hey, can I grab some cash? I want to buy some stuff so I don't have to spend all this time grinding out, doing all that." We have an in-game currency called gold, and it's earned by selling stuff. You can sell simple things like cutting down a tree, sell the logs. You can do more advanced things where you turn those trees into planks and polished wood and all that sort of stuff, and they build different things. You can mine metals. You can turn that. If you've got a forge, you can turn that into steel, and then you can craft the steel and etc. So basically you can then buy gold with bull and vice versa. So there's a bit of backwards and forwards there. External currency bridge to bull, resource scarcity value. Everything's balanced on the game monitors what's on the map, and then it reduces, so that if there's lots and lots of iron ore on the map already and people have already mined a lot of it, it will reduce how much iron ore is available. So it will actually keep the economy quite balanced. So things will naturally go up and down depending on how much of it's actually mined. So that's something we're building into the game. In-game marketplace, auction house, so you can trade right across the world. So even if you're down at the bottom of the world, someone right at the top of the world might have actually found stuff and put them on the auction house, in that auction house up there, and you'll be able to buy that at the bottom auction house. Player-to-player direct trading, you'll be able to trade directly with people. And there's a bunch of gold sinks built into the game that actually suck gold out of the game, and therefore people will have to buy bull if they want to get into those things easily without the work. Now, all of these games are built where you don't have to ever spend gold. You'll be able to play the game 100% free, but you'll have to exchange time for it. And those time penalties will be quite severe on some things. All right, business mechanics. So core concepts, specialized activities enabled by owning persistent licensed NFTs. So a lot of these are going to be guild-based, but there will be some personal ones you'll be able to get that make you a very valuable player. You might find a very special gun. Just while you're out running around the world, you find like, you know, part 7 of page 18 of the book, or it might be page 88 of the survival book, and that is a very special gun that is might be like a Barrett, like a high-powered 50 cal gun, and the only way someone can craft that is to come to you and give you the materials, and you craft that gun for them. And obviously that gives you an ability to charge a lot of money for crafting that gun. So those sort of things will be built into the game functionality. There's going to be blacksmith, workshop, medic, a bank. So if your guild wants to have a bank so you can store your money safely, so even if someone raids your base, your money's not all stolen. If you don't have a bank, you'll be storing your money inside boxes inside your base. If someone raids your base and you've got all your money stored in a box, they're going to be able to steal it and take your money. The garage we talked about before. Farm licenses will allow you to grow certain crops, so you need a crop license for each crop, and that license gives you persistent memory to grow that crop. Tannery, butchery, etc. All right. NFT integration. The core role is to give persistent digital ownership. So as you can see, we put a lot of thought into this. How are we going to bring NFTs into this game properly without just making it naff? We don't want this game just to be, oh look, he's got that skin. Like, skins are great, skins are really cool, but we actually want functionality built into these NFTs where you actually have to work hard to get them, and once you've got them, they're valuable. And that's going to really help the game get some long-term impact into what's going to go on. Alright, so the guild system, we've talked about that a fair bit. So the core role, facilitate social organisation, resource pooling, especially for the licensed NFTs, shared base, building defense, controlled, and it's obviously the main thing here is the social part. We want to make this a social game where you are building up. In some of the servers I've played on where there's been really good guild stuff, we ended up with a guild that we hated, and they were our enemy guild. And so we were recruiting people that hated them to be in our guild, and they were recruiting people to try and hurt us. So it ended up with this proper war going on, which, lo and behold, is actually pretty interesting. And, you know, it actually, they're raiding your base and you're online, you're ringing people in real world to get online. Help, I'm getting attacked, I'm at the base, and, you know, Muff Munchers, or whatever they're called, is attacking us. And there wasn't a guild called Muff Munchers. I got no idea where that came from. I've got a dirty mind. There you go, I'm sorry. Transportation mechanics. There's going to be transport hubs across game, all right, so across server. So since we're balanced, the game only has 100 to 200 players in it, but these NFTs are persistent, so there's going to be sometimes on servers, one server will have a lot of iron ore being mined, or a lot of gold, or a lot of, they'll have too much combat drug or whatever. To balance it out, we'll allow other servers from across the world to be able to buy off your server. There'll be a penalty, so if their server doesn't have enough combat drug available, and therefore it's really expensive, they'll be able to go to the transport hubs and they'll be able to order combat drug from another server, like across the world. So they're not from your 200 players. But there'll be a penalty, a higher price that is paid, and a time penalty, so it might turn up tomorrow, not today. But suddenly you'll be able to spend a lot of gold on your server, and that gold will actually be transferred across to another server that's not part of your game. And then the drug will turn up the next day, so it'll be flown in by aeroplane or whatever, and it'll turn up on your server, and now your server has more of that combat drug, which you control, and you can put on the auction house, and you can make more money out of. So it's going to be a worldwide system outside of the game. So that's something that we've been looking at that really helps balance out the economy. So when one economy gets out of control, one guild controls too much something, another guild can actually go to a transport hub, pay the NPC to organise transport of the same resource from outside of the game. The drug trade, we've talked about a bit, but basically there's a combat drug you grow, you've got to grow it. There's seed acquisition, cultivation, you've got to buy tubs, you need a light growing system, there's fertiliser, you've got to harvest it, you've got to monitor it. There's a 7-hour cycle. Trees need to mature, the plants need to mature. They need to be harvested. They need to be packaged. They need to be transported. They're big. When they're packaged into hay bale, like a hay bale, they've got to be transported. You need a helicopter to transport them to get them out to the oil rig. That's expensive. It's time consuming, and a helicopter can only take like 8 hay bales, and then those hay bales sell to the drug lord. And by the way, the oil rig is a PvP zone, so just because you land there and think you're going to sell your drugs to the drug lord, there might be another team waiting there for you to steal your drugs and kill you. So it's a hot, highly contested area and very exciting part of the game. And yeah, the oil rig's one of my favourite parts. That's coming in beta, hopefully at the end of the year. Section 14, weapon mechanics. There's a whole bunch of components to weapons. You can't just find the best weapon on the map. It's got to be crafted. And this is, there's just some games it's just like, oh, you run up to this area and all the best weapons are there, and the best PvPers end up with the best weapons. And yeah, no, we're trying to make it much more balanced than that. That you got to, a good gun needs to be crafted. It takes a lot of money to make, and it's going to not going to be everywhere. And we're not going to have a game where you just sniped from 5 kilometers and you don't even know how you died. You just bang, headshot. Oh, I'm dead again. I'm back to the fucking coast. That just wrecks the whole game. We've got a coaster system. I won't go into that too much, but it tracks your death on a timer. There's 3 levels to it. Level 1, you respawn close to where you died. Level 2, you respawn 2 kilometers away. And level 3, you respawn on the coast. So you have a chance to not get to a third death. You can actually leave the battle, run away, and not go back to the coast. So that saves a lot of time, and you've got to wait until the timer ticks down until you can re-enter the battle. There's a radio system set up. So there's a Good Samaritan group, which are NPCs, and so an NPC is a non-player character, and this group basically reports what's going on in the world. So later on, not in the near future, but later next year probably, we're going to be building a horde of zombies that travel the map. And if you get caught by the horde, you'll die. All right, you won't be able to kill the horde unless you have a combined guild attack. And there'll be so if you have multiple guilds work together, maybe 50 players at a time, all working together, they will be able to attack the horde in a coordinated group, and they'll have to use vehicles, they'll have to use high-powered guns, they'll have to use explosives, they'll have to trap the horde in a certain place, maybe in a canyon or something. And if they kill the horde, in the center of the horde will be a boss NPC. And if you kill that boss, there'll be a massive drop off that boss. Maybe one of those really good guns, the license for one of those really good guns or something. And then there'll be a single player that actually gets that license, and they'll obviously belong to one of the guilds. So it'll be something that all the guilds have to work together, or several guilds have to work together to do. But this radio system will alert you where the horde is. So you don't want to go, if the horde's suddenly down in Charlottetown, you don't want to run down to Charlottetown right now, because the chances of surviving in Charlottetown aren't going to be very good if there's 1,000 zombies down there. All right, so you need to wait for the horde to move. They'll also alert you where the airdrops are, and they'll alert you that there's a sniper sitting on Chandler Hill. So, if someone's on Chandler Hill sniping people, this radio system will actually alert you. So if you've got a radio, it'll actually give a functionality to the radio you find, and you get a warning. There's a couple of downsides. The radio has a set volume. It's quite loud. So if you're listening to it all the time, it will alert other players where you are. So, and zombies too. So if you're trying to hide from a zombie, you need to turn your radio off, which means you'll miss these announcements. So it's just a part of the gameplay. And then we come to airdrop system. There's a plane that drops systematically on the hour. That basically there's going to be a drop. This plane drops a great big crate into an open field, and lo and behold, it's got some good stuff in it. It's got some nice building materials. It's got licenses. It's got all that sort of stuff, and it's a good way to get nice, like not top level guns, but very good level guns. and people PvP over it. It's a PvP. People hear the radio announcement, they run to that space, they fly the helicopters in, and then there's a PvP battle that happens. And so sometimes getting on into the server at a time when no one's on, you can get access to these drops where there's no competition for them, and so you actually get to get some good gear. It's really good. And there's a server life cycle. So the server runs on a 30-day cycle, and then it wipes back to 0. So it's not a game where one player, one guild gets to control the game indefinitely. So it has a wipe, and so it means if you're having a bad cycle right now, your guild's not doing particularly well, that will end, and then you get a chance it all starts again, and you can use more intelligence to attack the game in a different way. And I think that's a really important part of what I really loved about the server I used to play on with Daisy, was that these 30-day wipes really helped avoid like a consistent bad time, and it also avoids a consistent good time. So there's things you have to do early that have to happen in a certain sequence that make your game good, and if you don't get those things, then so it's a really nice element to the game, and it makes it something that people commit to. So people sort of say, yep, I'll be here for the next 30 days, I'll be on each night at this time. In our Australian server that we ran, we had American players because they ran our night cycle for us. So they would do the drug harvesting and stuff at night, because the drugs are harvested every 7 hours. So they would take the 11 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Is that 7 hours? I think that's 9 hours. Anyway, they'd take that shift. So. Okay, so that's the Dogs of War GDD. That's how detailed the game is. The point of this game is that the alpha's going to be out in the next few days. We've got, when I say next few days, the next week. We're aiming for the 21st of this month. That is our hard line that I've got the team working to. We were going to be on the 7th today. That's why I'm doing this today and releasing this to you today. And my goal, the hard line, was the 7th. We've put it back 2 weeks, and the reason we've done that is very simple. Everything is pretty much done in the game to have the alpha ready. We have 3 game loops. We have a survival game loop. We have a PvP game loop where you can shoot other people and get killed and kill. And we have a zombie game loop where zombies attack you and you have to run away and whatever else. So, and we have a very beautiful world for you to run around in, and you can get a feel for what this world's going to be over the next couple of years as we build it out. So by the end of this week, I'll have a definitive. So by Friday this week coming, I'll have a definitive date, and we'll most probably be sticking to the 21st. It might be a bit earlier. But it's a closed alpha for you guys inside our community, and it's going to be fantastic. I think you're going to really enjoy it. We're very happy with it. The team has done an exceptional job to bring the game to where it is, and with the problems we've had in the past, and to bring the game forward. The one thing I have learned in my time running Playable games is that building games is the exact opposite of what I thought it was. So I thought building games was going to be fun. It's not fun. I thought building games was going to be pretty easy. It's not easy. I thought building games, you'd be able to hire talent and that talent would just do the job for you. That's not the case. There's a lot of people in the game development industry who think they know how to build a game and they don't know how to build a game. So very few people in the game development industry have actually built a game all the way through to market. So there's all these people that call themselves game devs. You actually don't need a license or a qualification to be a game dev.
I guess a boy Gary's age really needs a man around.
Yeah, well, depends on the man. I had a man around. He used to wake me up in the morning by flicking lit cigarettes at my head. Hey, asshole, get up and make me breakfast. You know, Miss Buckman, you need a license to buy a dog or drive a car. Hell, you need a license to catch a fish. But they'll let any butt-reaming asshole be a father.
All you need is a resume that says you've been a game dev and says you've worked at this company. And so people say, oh, I worked at Epic Games, or I worked at Blizzard, or I worked at, whatever. And you check the resume and you think, shit, this guy, oh, wow, look how good he looks. And then when they actually hit the ground running and they get into it, now you work out, they don't actually, so what did you do at Blizzard? You were responsible for making the Trolls party hats for the Christmas festival segment. Right, that wasn't in your resume. You sort of made out in your resume that you created the whole bottom part of the map but you didn't. No, you didn't do that. You didn't create the whole bottom part of the map. You just made the hats for the Trolls. Right. Okay. So that happens a lot. We've had this a lot. So people, it's just astounding to me. I was raised that you call a spade and you call a shovel and you don't confuse the two. They're two different tools. And you should try and be as close to honest as you possibly can be. And and we've also been dealing with people that have two jobs. That's my favorite. I got linked a whole forum today, a few days ago, from Froggy, our tech lead. And there's a whole forum out there called Overworking, and it teaches you how to run two jobs at the same time. And specializing in game dev is especially because since it's so flexible and open, and things are literally open-ended. I'm going to fix this today, and sometimes it can take 2 hours, and sometimes it can take 22 hours. It is very hard to tie down, so you need to find people you can trust who will actually do the work. So these guys, some of these guys get paid $450,000 a year to be a game dev or a programmer, and they're holding down two jobs, lying to both companies. So thankfully, we are bringing in systems, or we've brought in systems now that actually check all this stuff, and we have worked out ways to nail this down. But wow, we've had a couple people do that to us as well. So it's been very frustrating. But as you can see from what I've shown you so far, we're on top of it. It's coming together. And as we move into this next month or so, we should see the market come up. We're going to have these games available for people. We're going to have game footage and these games available in alpha for people who join our community to hop in and have a play with. And they'll be able to see just how much we've done and achieved. And more importantly, where we're heading. Because there's a big difference between a promise and being able to show what you can actually do. And Playable Games has now transitioned from promising what we're going to do to this is what we have done. And now that you can see this step, what we've achieved here, this first big step, we have 3 games now. Actually, sorry, pardon me, I forgot all of them. We have 4 games now that you're going to be able to get into and play. So we're going to have Dogs of War added to that and War of Steel. War of Steel, by the way, the team there, holy smoke and duck turds. That is coming together really fine. We're going to launch War of Steel into alpha last year in November, and the mech just wasn't up to scratch. When Jet and I played it, we just really were unhappy with the way the mech felt. And I linked to I'm not going to promise to put that in this video, but I linked the mech to Big Bulls Club the other day just to show them a little bit of firing and mech and running. And the response was really strong. It looks fantastic. We have got the look and feel right now. And so War of Steel is coming along. So ending this on a positive note, I am excited about what's ahead this year. And it's raining outside today. It's drizzly. It's cold. Everything's wet. It's not a nice day in the world. But I know from being an adult and having lived my life that these prosaic days do not last forever. And the sun will come out again and it will shine. And when it does, and when people start asking what is a good thing I should be putting my money into in this bull run, how can I get a 5x, 10x, 100x, 1000x At our stock price today, we are still on track today, right now, with everything Playable Games has. We are on track for 1,000x. Today, if you've got any friends out there who are sitting there going, oh, I might get into crypto, they can literally go and buy $1,000 worth of bull today, and they are in line for 1,000x. I would be very surprised if we don't hit 47 cents in probably December this year. Like it's astounding to me to be this low, our price being this low, with everything we have on the table, with what we've done, everything we've achieved. It's astounding to me. And on that note, I'm going to end because, wow, I'm bubbling inside. I actually feel excited because as much as that's depressing, it's also incredibly exciting. And I had lunch the other day with Jimbo. Actually, I'm going to finish on this story. I had lunch the other day with Jimbo. Jimbo brought his family up to where I live, and we just caught up. I like Jimbo and his family a lot. And we were just talking about what we've achieved and what's going to happen. And it's really, really nice to know that in the Big Bulls Club, we're going to have 50 odd people that are all going to be multimillionaires. Right? Now, obviously, things have to happen between now and then for that to happen. And I'm a realist. I do understand. Actually, I'm not a realist. I'm an optimist. But I can be realistic. And I can realize that things can go wrong and it can never happen. The world could go into world war. We could get hit by a meteor and there's no internet. I mean, there's things that could happen that would stop this going ahead. But right now, we are literally months away from the height of the bull run, which then spills into a massive altcoin season for 2 or 3 months. And at the end of that altcoin season, our price should be up around 50 cents. All right. All of the research and data we've looked at points to the fact that when people come into this market, they are looking for this exact product. That's what we've been building all this time. The millions of dollars we've put into building what we've built so far has been to get us to this point. And we are here. We've done it. We've got all these building blocks in place. I met Cobbers for dinner the other night. I met Percival for dinner the other night. They've had people come to Dubai and meet. Several of the big bulls have come out to actually meet us. Cobbers brought his dad with him. Dad, come and meet us at Dubai. I want to meet this guy. I want you to meet this guy. I want you to look him in the eye and see what you think. And we're happy to do that for people. Like, you know, we're happy to go out and have a dinner or whatever and just shake hands and say hello. But to meet these people and know in my heart that there's a very high likelihood they're going to be multimillionaires next year is so exciting to me. It really does make me very excited. So, yeah. Hang in there, guys. It's going to be tough. This last bit of the journey is going to be really tough just while we roll out of this. But we are going to roll out of it, and it is going to be a sunny day soon. Hang tough. We're going to make it. Over and out. Cheers.